Hi, everybody. This is how to forgive anyone. I mean, anybody. And it's just a simple tweak. It will change your life. Stay tuned for how, because honestly, this is my joy, delivering to you spiritual hacks that are based in my experience and that really have transformed me. If you guys don't know me, hello, my name is Susan Dyer. I was born clairvoyant. I had a bewildering time growing up. I did not know what to make of anything I was seeing or experiencing, and neither did anybody around me. I manifested dark night of the soul after dark night of the soul. Finally, at age 40, I had a near-death experience that crystallized everything. And I am so grateful for it. I linked near-death experience that crystallized everything. And I am so grateful for it. I linked to a video detailing my experience below. You've got to check it out. It was an epic experience. And all of a sudden, it framed the divine reason for why I had manifested a string of rock bottoms. I have been a spiritual seeker for decades out of necessity because I had to. I had to find out what was wrong with me, which I now know is nothing, but it felt that way. Today, I can tell you, over 41 years, I have spiritually resurrected myself, and now I help awakening women do the same thing. I'm a spiritual mentor. It's what I do, and it's what I love to do. And in this process, what I love to do is share with you all of the shit to gold that has come from my own experiences. And it's been a lot. I've lived many, many lifetimes in this one lifetime. I have so many bizarre, crazy, wonderful, really awesome tidbits to share. My greatest belief came from last summer when I had that near-death experience. That was thanks to chronic Lyme. I knew I was going to die that night. I astral traveled on command. I hadn't known what to expect. What did I want? What I really wanted was something like a cosmic AAA. I wanted help. I wanted to not die that evening and get back to my children. What ended up happening was I ended up spending time in the void with God, with Jesus, and another one of my guides. It was amazing. It was insane. It was pretty much every emotion you could ever imagine, all wrapped up into one experience. And I was entirely cognizant for the whole thing. My greatest belief, what came from this experience more so than anything else, is this. I believe that you are God, just as you are, warts and all, mistakes and all, everything. I believe I am God. I am a finite point of God energy. It's all that is. All is one. I'm God. You are too. It changed everything for me. Everything that cascaded down from this fact, it's too long to fit into one video, but this is my deepest belief. This is what makes me different. I know that some of you might wrinkle your eyebrows hearing this, but it is my deepest belief, and it comes from this time that I viscerally spent in God's presence. We were one and the same. This communication was so sweeping and yet so intimate. We spoke without speaking. He knew me better than a best friend. Yet it was impossibly sweeping, impossibly grand. And here I am. I promised him I'd do this. I'd live transparently. I'd talk about all this stuff that I had intentionally camouflaged my whole life out of fear of what you were going to think of me. But here's the problem. This is how I grew up. I believed I was broken and crazy, and I didn't know why I saw all the things I did and what was happening to me. Neither did anybody else. So I truly believed something was deeply the matter with me. And over the years, this kind of snowballed and crusted. It really crusted into a belief. And it evolved into even more of a deep-seated belief that I was unlovable. Which, can you actually imagine a more separating, a more illusory way of envisioning oneself? And we've all got these jacked up core beliefs. We do the best we can as kids, right? But by the nature of being a child, we've got seriously limited resources. So we basically do the best we can with what we've got. For example, the energy I saw, eyes open, eyes closed, day and night, a lot of times was this pulsating red. I know now that was Archangel Michael assisting me with grounding and connecting to my own innate power. But back then as a kid, I thought it was the devil. I didn't know what else to make of it. And I kind of wrapped that up and started thinking, Susan, what more proof do you need that something is incredibly and deeply wrong with you? I must be bad. I must be broken. The devil's got me in his sights. I know how that sounds. And I also want to say this. I orbit outside the realm of religion. And I do that because of this experience from last summer, and I don't like rules. I do believe that there is no better guru than you. You are God. You are, in your essence, an extension of that exact same energy. And what I love to do is just help you remember and come back home to that, reconnect with it. It's all within. We've just got to drop from here to here. One of the greatest impediments to living from our hearts and connecting effortlessly when we do live from our hearts with our greater soul selves is this issue of resentment. The need for forgiveness is so huge, yet for so many of us, it's like entirely unpalatable. When somebody has seriously hurt you, my first inclination is not to happily get to spiritual work and set out to finally forgive that person. When my marriage ended, we had been together at that time for 14 years. I found out in a very Jerry Springer manner that the whole of our relationship was not what I thought it was going to be. From the beginning, the way I found out could have been a Lifetime TV movie for women. All of the dynamics, all of the categories across the board left me absolutely devastated and shocked. My first thought was not, I need to fetch myself up right now and get spiritually busy to forgive him. No, actually, I was on the phone with my best friend, aggressively and thoughtfully planning some kind of a murderous revenge that wouldn't be necessarily as easily caught by the authorities. I remember researching poison. No joke. And this is me, who has loved God without any labels of religion for a very long time. I've been a spiritual seeker for decades, yet when this happened to me, I shut down, became completely paralyzed, consumed with fear. Anything negative you can imagine, that emotion felt overwhelming. I wanted him to die. I'm not proud of that, but I also don't care because I know, just like you, we're here in this vehicle of our personality. We're meant to be wrapped in our egos. That's why we're here. And if you're watching my video, I can likely tell you this. I bet you $1 million you're a light worker. What does that mean? It means that you incarnated on purpose in this day and age for one reason, which is to serve. And whatever way that looks like to you, it could look like a million different ways. But that's what a light worker is. And categorically, that's who I end up helping. And it's an honor. Yet, when things happen to us that upset this lifetime story, let me tell you, as Susan Dyer, this event was completely devastating. It's hard to put into words how devastating it was and how fearful I was. And that's all right. I want to explain one thing before I go on. This might make more sense. So we're all here on purpose. We're all here to serve in whatever way that is. Here I am. My name's Susan. I'm in this personality. This is my vehicle that I've chosen for Earth School, right? But we each have a spiritual DNA that, if you can envision this, stick with me. You've probably seen an org chart, right? For a company where there is a CEO at the top and all of the other positions cascade down from there. That is a very easy way to think about how divine energy presses out from source or God or whatever you call it. So I'm here and I'm at the bottom of this org chart. And if you're going to talk about this like linearly, imagine pulling the camera up and out like this, right? My energetic frequency connects up and out to greater and greater frequencies of my same energy. And this would include, people call it like your soul self, your guides. And eventually, this spiritual DNA merges all the way back with all that is God, source, love, light, whatever you choose to call it. So I want to start by saying this. You are not in any way not advanced or on the wrong track if you are in the middle of some kind of emotional throw or some kind of huge contrast. That's why we're here. We're not meant to completely ascend up and out of our personalities. We're here on earth to serve. And in order to do that, we need a body, we need a personality, we need an ego. That's all necessary for us to be here and carry out our many potential purposes. So, human emotion is a given. And always, even as dark as that emotion might be, on the other end of it, once we do transmute it, once we do embrace it and we integrate it, there is always a greater sense of freedom and unconditional love and a knowing you have just expanded. And that's what I'm about. I'm sure that's what you're about too if you're watching this channel. So, something's happened. You're devastated, you're angry, you're afraid. Most likely you're judging yourself about that. And right here and now, I'd love to take you off the hook about that. At minimum, you are just where you're supposed to be. This is what defines Earth life. Are these tsunamis of emotion? We are emotional based. And that's how it's supposed to be. That's how we blend and merge with our fellows. That's how we share our spiritual essence with others. It's how we communicate and connect and offer this divine outgoing circuit of love that we are each intended to do. So, forgiveness is so key for so many different reasons. If you imagine yourself as an eternal, limitless being, as a true microchip of this God energy, when we're living in resentment or anything like that, we are living in illusion. The window of greater awareness, the window of our soul is covered with mud. We are not living in expansion. We are not living as powerfully as we know we can. And what we need to do is clean off that mud. Forgiveness, when you can commit to it, each and every time will be an immense and profound window cleaning for you. It took me a very long time even to get comfortable with the notion that I wanted to forgive him. That's the other thing I want to say. Though forgiveness offers immense and unexplainable freedom, do know we all have our own timelines. And this process I'm about to talk to you about, it took me 4 years. The first step I was able to embrace was this. And this step took me the longest. When I did come out of this somewhat, and this was not until over a year out, I did know personally, I wish to live in freedom. I have a video about this. I'm doing a 13-part series about my near-death experience. And one of those points, the realizations of that experience, one of these points was that God to me, more so than he felt like love, God actually felt, and I mean viscerally, because I was in my astral body with God. And I say this often, but imagine a tea bag immersed in a mug of tea. That's how I was with God. And viscerally, how God felt, what he felt to be made of, even more than love, was freedom. And that is my most treasured word when it comes to spiritual work, freedom. So the first thing I could get behind when knowing I would eventually have to attend to this cavernous, monstrous resentment I had was, I wish to be free. No matter what, no matter who, I wish to be free. I am unwilling today to give away my spiritual sovereignty to anybody or for anything. So that's what motivates me to do everything I do. There is a quote by Dyer, and he says this: your soulmate is the person you can't stand. And that is at the core of what I'm talking to you about today. It's a great talk. It's all over YouTube. Check it out. What he means by this is whomever is in your life is in your life on purpose, for one. And if they cause you any kind of pain or contrast, what he says to do is bow to them and thank them for being your teacher. It's a completely different way to think about those people who really seem to push your buttons and set you off and completely distract you from this way of life that you know you want for yourself. We've all got these people. And always, there's one of them in our immediate family. There's probably one of them as your child. Our friends, they're everywhere. And as Dyer puts it, these are our most beautiful divine teachers. They are spiritual masters disguised as crass people or ignorant people or aggressive people. Fill in the blank. That we should turn to them and bow and thank them for the absolutely beautiful opportunity they're affording us to see where I'm in need of better and more thorough self-mastery. This is how I was able to forgive my former husband. This is how. And let me say, at first, this was strictly intellectual. At first, I knew my belief. I knew that I believed he had pre-incarnation signed up to do me an impossibly beautiful favor of launching me into the woman I am today. You would never have recognized me. If you saw me in 2014, I had folded myself inside myself so small, so unauthentically. I was living fully in dishonesty, camouflaging myself. By the end of my marriage, I barely spoke. I was so aware that it was a house of cards ready to collapse at the slightest breeze. But I lived this way. I lived invisibly and mutely and dishonestly with everybody I knew because my fear about revealing who I really was so great. So first, I had to take this intellectual knowing that I want freedom more than anything else. And I knew that this man had done me such a phoenix launching favor as I could never repay him for, even though I wanted to kill him. Even though I was so ashamed and so devastated and so embarrassed. And viscerally on the inside, emotionally, I still felt like what happened was actually proof of the fact that I was weird and I was broken and I was too weird for any man to love me. It's huge. And we've all got this bundle, no matter what yours looks like. So I took that intellectual knowledge, knowing I don't want to live outside of freedom for anybody. And I know he provided me something so beautiful. Honestly, only he could have provided something that meaningful and transformative. The people closest to you have that inner access, and therefore they have the ability to assist you in transforming at depth. Think about it. Your acquaintances, yeah, they can piss you off, right? But when you're dealing with decades of history with somebody, when somebody has been in your life since their birth or for decades, or in this package or role that we call spouse or partner, those relationships can impact the greatest change. So I took that intellectual knowledge and I did this. Prayed my ass off about it 24/7. And slowly, it dropped from here to here. And not only did I intellectually know that he was my soulmate, I knew it here. My former husband, I don't even say ex-husband. I wrote it in the description because I know that is typically the term people use, but probably about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I realized I'm like, I don't like that word. It feels very harsh. It feels like a sword. It feels like a knife. I love him today. I love him. I hug him. I'm probably one of his closest friends today. It took 4 years and it took a ton of divine assistance, I know. But it is genuine and authentic, and I love him. The way I knew I had really come so far was this. It was a dream. I had a dream, and in that dream, he was suffering in his own way. And all I felt viscerally in this dream was the greatest of compassion for him. And I woke up and I thought, my God, the impossible has happened. And that is the nature of God. All that is, all is one. There is no separation. I wish to embody that state as much as I can, day in and day out. And I wish this for you. Take this, run with it, try it. No, you can't do it alone. Know it. But you're not alone. You are the tip of an absolutely glacier and gorgeous lineage of spiritual DNA that ends with God itself. You're not doing anything alone. But it's up to you to embrace it and know it and feel it. If you like this video, please subscribe, share it with somebody who could use it. And ladies, I'd love to see you on Facebook. I have a Facebook group. It's called Divining Women. And every Thursday we do a live Q&A where we talk about your spiritual gifts, where we talk about your intuition mastery. I answer all your questions and we have a great time. I know there's a link to it somewhere. I'm pretty sure in the banner above. Check it out. I'd love to see you there. Thank you so much, you guys. All my thanks and love, and I will see you soon.